you are the 26th king of the Acholi people, which is really quite a big deal.
It
And
is.
you invited us to come up to Acholi land at a time. Can you give us like the setting? What was happening at the time that you started casting this idea about building a school?
School. Initially, you remember your contact with me was through Walter.
I do.
And when you got here, then we got together. And at that time, there was serious war going on. The government of then Obote was overthrown, and then Tito was also overthrown. So there was that rebellion generally, people to accept the present government. But eventually, you remember when we were traveling around, we had to stop in certain areas to check whether the situation is okay. Are we safe in this area? If we move ahead, what will happen? So it was very difficult. And then two, the roads generally. You remember we used to drive left and right, dodging.
It was awful. It was awful. It took so long, and you were a fast driver.
Yeah,
you just
I just had
you were
a new
on
car.
it. I remember. The one thing I would not want to be is your suspension. But we would drive up to Atiak, which is your ancestral kingdom, and being lost in these divots. And then not only that, but it was a time that we went up and you planted the idea for our first school. And it was a time that was very unsettled. Do you remember that we arrived and there was people with machine guns
all over the place.
Yeah.
And it was very, very worrying. So you don't know who they can turn out to be.
Yes, you just meet them in the bush, and there's a guy with them, and so you just stop and just say, like, if you're with the LRA, I'm just hoping you don't want to shoot me.
Don't do anything.
And then I remember going to, there's a place that you, as the king, still, I think, use. There's an ancestral tree, and where all the kings throughout the centuries have met. And so we reported what we were planning on doing, and we brought bags of, I don't know if it was rice or sugar.
Yes.
And then we left for 1 hour and did something, and then we came back and reported everything that happened since we last met.
It was gone.
Tell us the vision that you had for when it came to this region and having a school that would be here. What were you imagining 20 years ago?
See, at that time, you can say nothing was functional. The schools were not operating. The teachers were not there. And people were generally on the run. Whenever they hear that the rebels are coming or the government troops are coming, they have to go and look for shelters. So that situation continued for a very long time. But my general worry was what is going to happen generations from now to the younger children. They need to go to school. They need to have a good health service. They need to have a good environment. So what would happen? That was the major worry. Gladly, you came. And your coming was an eye-opener. And the idea was initially to take you to Atiak and build a school there. But the situation was impossible. So you couldn't do anything, and we decided that let's look for a nearby place around Gulu town, which is a lot safer. And that's when we started looking for land here. The lands near the town were a little bit more expensive, and it would be difficult. So we had a director of lands who was helping us, Dr. Kello, and he's the one who brought us here because I think his home is on the opposite side.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and initially there were problems when people were paid, and when the work started, there was a group that came and took away the wheelbarrows and what. So you know, it worried you.
I was like, darn it.
Yes, what is happening? Yeah, but then I said, no, let's not worry. It will work out.
Yes.
Gladly, what is this now?
Here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, we're sitting on the deck of the guest house.
Beautiful place, beautiful
Yeah.
place. When we came here and we walked around, it was all bush. There was no sign that anything reasonable would come to this place. But you put in your commitment, your resources, and ensured that a school is set up.
And I remember being together in the holdover from the British Commonwealth. Someone took a handful of dirt and they put it in my hands. And they said, it's your property now. And they said, now let's go walk the property. And I'm thinking snakes. Snakes everywhere. I'm like, let Uncle Richard go.